is time to continue the 2025-26 season previews. Today we got the Florida Panthers, the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. And I'm here to ask you guys one question. Can they three-peat? The 2025-26 season previews are in full swing. We are previewing all 32 teams' NHL seasons. It has been a very interesting series so far. We have done Anaheim through Edmonton alphabetically. So if you want to check those videos out, be sure to do so in the playlist. But anyways, here, moving on now to the Florida Panthers, where the Panthers have been a consistently very, very good team for the last couple of years. Let's start off in 2022-23, where they went to the first of 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. In 22-23, they went 42, 32, and 8 for 92 points. They were 17th in the NHL that year. They barely scrape in to the Stanley Cup playoffs. I can't remember what team was competing with them. I think it was Pittsburgh - Buffalo, I think, were the teams that were trying to fight with Florida for that spot. But regardless, they go on to it. They defeat Boston in a massive upset. They defeat Florida, or they defeat themselves. They defeat Toronto. They defeat Carolina, and then they obviously advance on to the Stanley Cup final. They lose in 5 to the Vegas Golden Knights in a very dominant series, but Florida learned from that. They upgraded their team at the trade deadline. They came back in 23-24 and won the Atlantic, but also won the entire NHL as well. They went 52, 24, and 6 for 110 points. They were 5th in the league that year. They win the Atlantic, and then obviously they go through. They steamroll Tampa. They defeat the Rangers as well, and they defeat Boston, and then they also defeated the Oilers in a almost blown 3-0 lead in the Stanley Cup final, but they got it done at the very least, so it doesn't even really matter at that point. The following year, though, in 2024-25, last season, was a worser year regular season-wise, but it was still Stanley Cup winning year, so who cares? 47, 31, and 4 for 98 points. They were 11th in the league that year. They go on, they defeat Tampa Bay, they defeat Toronto, they defeat Carolina, and then they also defeated the Edmonton Oilers once again in the Stanley Cup final and win the back-to-back Stanley Cups. And again, I'm going to say it at the end of pretty much every single clip here. Can they do it a third time is what we're going to be asking ourselves here throughout this entire video. But first and foremost, the management. The management of this team is very, very good. I would argue it is the best management in the entire NHL. You have Bill Zito, who's been the GM since 2020-21. He has made some incredible moves, bringing in Paul Maurice, bringing in Matthew Tkachuk and Seth Jones and Brad Marchand. He waiver claimed Gustav Forsling. Now he's one of their best defensemen. He kept around every single player from this team, essentially, that was like of major importance. And yeah, he's been a phenomenal general manager, which is why the guys that he acquired this offseason, I'm trusting that they will turn their careers around here. I'm going to be honest with you. And then Paul Maurice, who has been the head coach since 2022-23. Maurice has been a very good coach. He's handled a lot of situations very well. We've seen the way he can move in the locker room, giving these guys his pep talks and stuff like that. Honestly, though, this is not a shot at Paul Maurice, but he doesn't even really need to do anything. This Panthers team is so phenomenal as it is. They will go in there and they will win. But very good-minded coach, defensively, physically, etc. He's phenomenal. So overall, this management, in my opinion, is some of the best management in the entire NHL. And I rated it 10 out of 10 on my TikTok. But yeah, phenomenal stuff from these two guys. Their key arrivals are very interesting. There's not a lot of them, and there's also not a lot of key departures as well. So we're going to put them in the same clip. Starting off on the key arrivals side, you have Jeff Petrie, Daniil Tarasov, Brandon Bussi, and Luke Kunin as your new acquisitions for the Florida Panthers. So going through each of them here, Jeff Petrie will likely play a regular spot on this roster. Either that or Olvis Balinskis will take that spot. But overall, I think we kind of get it a little bit like overlooked in Detroit because Petrie was playing more minutes. But I feel like when he's playing a third pairing guy in Florida, he could be pretty decent. And we've seen plenty of players come to Florida having not so good careers prior and turn themselves around. So I honestly have no doubt that Petrie can do the same thing here in Florida. Tarasov is a fun case. He kind of got booted out of the backup role and the starting role in Columbus because Jet Greaves came in there and played very well. He could be intriguing as a backup there and could play very well. I wouldn't be shocked to see that. We've seen plenty of other goaltenders rejuvenate their career in Florida as well. And then Bussy, good third-string goaltender. And then Luke Cunnin. I actually have him down here on the depth chart, but he's pretty low on the depth chart. I don't think we're going to see him a ton in the NHL, barring there's any crazy injuries. But I think he was signed as that right-wing side to help out with Matthew Tkachuk's injury. And then the key departures we'll do in the same clip here as well. You have Nate Schmidt, Vitek Vanacek, Nico Sturm, and Jesse Puljujarvi are all no longer on the team. So, first and foremost, it definitely does suck. Everybody besides Puljujarvi are just champions on this team, champions forever. They are phenomenal. Unfortunately, though, when you become a championship team, there are going to be players that leave for other endeavors or money, and that's kind of the case here. Schmidt is off to Utah. He had a very solid season this past year. He was playing third-pairing minutes and was scoring at a pretty good rate, too. When we did the Watch of Nordic streams, he scored a ton, and it was really weird. I'm like, why is he racking up the goals here? I thought it was very strange. But anyhow, you have him there who's no longer there. Vanacek, I believe, is off to Utah as well. So he will be a decent backup goaltender, really nothing more than that. I don't know where Sturm is, but regardless, was a good fourth-line center. Him and Nosek and Greer, that made a very fun fourth line to watch. So it'll suck not seeing him anymore. And then Puljujarvi was a depth player. I think he did play some playoff games, but regardless, he was mostly down below in Charlotte for most of their playoff run. So that being said, then, let's take a look at the Florida Panthers depth chart heading into this year. Now, this depth chart was made by the Hockey News, so I do want to just factor that in there. It was not made by me. That way I don't miss anybody or do anything stupid. But regardless, let's start off here, with the left wing side. You have Carter Verhaeghe, Mackie Samoskevich, Eetu Luostarinen, AJ Greer rounding out your first four, and then you have Jesper Boquist as your extra forward there on the left wing side. Overall, very good. Verhaeghe, definitely regular season-wise, his numbers have taken a little bit of a dip, but honestly, I thought even in the playoffs, he looked very solid there, so I got no complaints about Carter Verhaeghe whatsoever. Samoskevich, I am excited to see because when we were doing the streams this year and just overall following the Florida Panthers, Samoskevich was one of my guys who I really enjoyed watching, and that stems from the prospect pool overviews, covering him there and all that stuff. That's kind of a cool thing. You learn them first when I make those kind of videos, and then they come up to the NHL, they play very well. That's some of my favorite stuff there with the prospect pool overviews. But regardless, Samoskevich is going to be very solid. Luostarinen is a good third liner there as well. One of the most valuable players on this team in terms of his bottom six, middle six contributions. He's very valuable with that. AJ Greer, great fourth liner. There's nothing about that. And then Boquist, kind of the same thing, was a really good fourth liner here in Florida as well. So I got no complaints there on that left wing side. The center depth is phenomenal as always. You have Alexander Barkov, Sam Bennett, Anton Lundell, and Thomas Nosek rounding out your first four. And then you have McAllister as your extra guy there. He'll be a decent depth player, nothing really more than that. But those four are very, very solid. Barkov is Barkov. He's a phenomenal first-line center. I have him top 5 in my top 50 centers list. Sam Bennett is an interesting case because he was projected to get a lot of money on the free agency market. He obviously never made it there, but I feel like with him, the only way he can work out and produce the way he is with Florida. He fits the Florida scheme and the Florida way. So I thought that was fun to mention there as well. Anton Lundell is a very solid third liner. He's pretty damn young as well, so he's got a good future with this team. And then Thomas Nosek, good fourth liner, so no really doubts about the center core. And then the right wing side is also very, very good. You have Matthew Tkachuk with an asterisk. We'll get into that in a moment. Sam Reinhart, Brad Marchand, and Evan Rodriguez rounding out your first four. And then you have Gajovic and Kunin as extra players there on that right wing side. I included another one because Tkachuk is injured, and that's the biggest thing. I made a video just a little bit ago about the new NHL CBA LTIR playoff rules, and it not only impacts the Florida Panthers in the playoffs, it also impacts the Florida Panthers now. So they can't really have somebody on LTIR until the playoffs now because they have to be cap compliant even in the playoffs. So that is something interesting there to keep in mind. We could see somebody get moved off of here from Florida. I want to factor that in with this. But Tkachuk, he'll be a miss, but this Panthers team will be fine. I feel like Tkachuk is kind of the heart and soul of this team, but they will be okay. This team is still phenomenal even without Tkachuk in their lineup. Sam Reinhart has been incredible. 4 goals in the playoff in the finals clinching game. Had the game-winning goal in Game 7 of 2024. Scored 60 that year as well. He's been phenomenal. There's no doubt about it. This kid is incredible. Not even a kid anymore. And then Brad Marchand, still Brad Marchand. Even if his regular season numbers do kind of dip, his playoff numbers and stuff is just so phenomenal. And he plays that Florida mentality there too that you just can't ignore. And then Rodriguez, on the fourth line is kind of crazy to me, but still a very, very good fourth liner or third liner at that. He fits in the Florida scheme there very well as well. And then Gajovic and Kunin, good depth players. Overall, this forward core, the overall just like top 9 is one of, if not the best in the league. So then you take a look at the depth chart on the defense for the Panthers. And just like the forward core, it is very, very good. You start off on the left shot side, Gustav Forsling, Nico Mikkola, and Dmitry Kulikov rounding out your first 3. And then you have Olis Balinskis as your extra defenseman there for Florida. So I love the left shot side. Forsling is phenomenal. He's one of my favorite defensemen in the league. Overall, just his, the fact that he was claimed off of waivers and plays the way he is phenomenal. He fits in very well as a great defenseman. Not going to score a lot of points or goals, but he's fun to see there defensively. Nico Mikkola, phenomenal skill as well. Very good second pairing defenseman. He proved himself not just in 2024, but in 2025 as well. He was great too. And then Kulikov was an ad, I believe, at the end of last offseason. He has been great for the Florida Panthers. So somebody who I'm really entertained to see there. He was a journeyman around the league. He started off in Florida and won a cup in Florida, and now he's back again with Florida. So it's just great to see his full cycle go around. And then Balinskis, one of the better 7th D in the league. Before Seth Jones came in, and we'll get into him in a minute, Balinskis was getting time. And he was playing. I believe he can play both sides. Balinskis, a very good 7th defenseman. He came in there and was very serviceable and has been for a while, so they're keeping him around. Overall, a great left shot side. On the right shot side, you have Aaron Ekblad, Seth Jones, Jeff Petrie rounding out your first 3, and then you have Tobias Bjornfoot as your extra defender there on the right shot side. So Ekblad is good. I feel like Ekblad gets a lot of criticism because his offensive skill and everything about his game has kind of winded down a little bit since the start of his career. But still, he's a very good defenseman there. There's no doubt about it. Seth Jones had some rough years in Chicago, but I feel like for some people he's not really overrated or anything like that. He's just overpaid. And I feel like there's a lot of players in the league that are like that in my opinion. And then Petrie, it'll be fun to see how he fits in to the Florida system. He could be somebody who becomes a pretty dynamic and very good acquisition. I'm not saying he's going to be like Nate Schmidt, but who knows? It could work out for Florida. And to be honest, with the way this Panthers team is, I wouldn't be shocked. And then Bjornfoot is a good extra defenseman there as well. So overall, the defensive core is basically the same. You just take out Nate Schmidt, you throw Jeff Petrie in. Still a very good blue line. No doubt about it. And do I even need to say the goaltending? You have Sergei Bobrovsky, Daniil Tarasov, and Brandon Bussey as your 3 goaltenders here heading into this season. So, again, I got no question, no qualms or anything about Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky is phenomenal. Even when he puts up rough regular season numbers, he's still incredible. He is a Hall of Famer without a doubt. It's funny because, I was, looking at this. I'm like, how many of these Panthers players could be Hall of Famers? At least 5 or 6, right? So at the end of the day in their careers, doesn't seem impossible. So Bobrovsky there is a very good goaltender. Even when his playoff numbers aren't the greatest, he still locks in and is phenomenal. Tarasov is a fun one. Again, as I said, was kind of kicked out of the Columbus job. I am very interested in seeing how he's going to do with Florida, just because Florida loves to turn around players' careers. They do it a ton, so I wouldn't be shocked if they do it again here. And then Bussy, a good third-string goaltender there as well. So overall, the goaltending is phenomenal for Florida. So I got one question for the biggest question. It's the only question we're going to ask to wrap up this video. Three-peat. Will it happen? And the answer is, well, I can't predict the future, so I don't know if it will happen, but it most certainly can happen. This team should have the favorite odds to contend for a third straight Stanley Cup. They're not like Tampa Bay, where they're tired. This team just seems energized and ready to go, and no matter what injury hits them, the only one who's been injured is Matthew Tkachuk. Everybody else seems fine, at least as far as I know. But even still, these guys, they don't even seem phased by going to 3 straight Cup finals. Can they make it to 4? I got no doubt in my mind that they can. So there's definitely a possibility there. They have some of the best management in the league. They have an incredible top 9, a great blue line, and phenomenal goaltending. Can they make it? No doubt in my mind that they can. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on the Florida Panthers. We're going to wrap it up there. I'm not even going to ask the other question because it's not even worth asking. But thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like the video down below and subscribe if you are new. But anyways, that is it for me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.